everyone? My name is Ghiman Mckinney, or you can just call me Juice because that is my nickname. So I want to talk about the draft today. You know, let's be real, guys. We think we know everything about the draft. We got all these numbers. We look at the combine. We see pro days. We watch film. We look at the stats. And we try to come up with, these mock drafts and say, who's going to win the draft? Who's going to be great? This quarterback's the next Aaron Rodgers. And let's be real, guys. We can make some educated guesses, but let's be real. This is a crapshoot. We do not fully know what these guys are going to be. Look at Jamarcus Russell. People thought Jamarcus Russell was going to be the next great elite quarterback. Okay, Lamar Jackson. Listen, I personally was higher on Lamar Jackson than most people. I didn't buy into this whole he should be a wide receiver crap, but I didn't ever see Lamar Jackson being an elite quarterback. And if you would have told me Lamar Jackson turned into an elite quarterback, I never thought that I would see him winning MVPs and leading the league in touchdown passes while also being the best running quarterback in the NFL. Tom Brady, he's a 6th round draft pick, goes on to win 6 Super Bowls. We cannot predict these things. We just can't. The draft is a crapshoot, guys. It really is. So what I will tell you about the draft is this. This is most of the facts about the draft. Usually each NFL draft, there's over 220 players drafted, okay? There's 32 NFL teams, 32 picks each round. There's 7 rounds, okay? So that's over 220 players, all right? There's relatively about 15 to 20 surefire starters in each draft almost, okay? If you just average out all the drafts for the last 20 to 30 years, that's about the amount of players that most general managers feel super, super good about based on their college film and based on what they evaluate when looking at players they want to put on their board. I guarantee you that if you go around and ask 90% of the GMs in the NFL, hey, about how many players do you feel super good about in this upcoming draft that you feel on your board, if they were to be picked by your team, they'll at least probably potentially be a solid starter or maybe a Pro Bowl level player. They'll probably tell you roughly about 15 to 20 each draft. That's probably what they're going to tell you. I almost 100% guarantee you. That's literally 8% of the draft right there, if we're discounting undrafted free agents. So 92% of these draft picks are virtually not going to do anything. They're going to be backups. They're going to be on the practice squad, all right? But then after training camp, after seeing these guys, work out with these teams, given a fair chance, put in front of these coaches, a lot of these guys move up the ladder. A lot of these guys prove a lot of these scouts wrong. So let's up the number. Let's say that each draft on average the last 15 to 20 years. Just take the last 15 to 20 years. Let's say that 20 to 25 more of those players prove these general managers wrong and become really good NFL starters, and some even Pro Bowl or elite level players, okay? Well, that ups the percentage to about 20. That's still 80% of these guys that are not going to be living up to expectations, that are going to bust, that are just not going to fully produce, that are going to be out the league in a couple years. An NFL player's average career is about 3 years, okay? Let that sink in. The average NFL player's career is about 3 years. But then every single draft, there's about 2 to 5 guys that are just different. Generational talents. I'm talking can't miss prospect. I believe the Redskins cannot pass on Chase Young. They need to take this guy 100%. They cannot pass on Chase Young. They should not pass on Chase Young. Chase Young should be the number 2 overall pick in this draft, and the Redskins will be super, super dumb to pass on him, in my opinion. Chase Young is the by far best player in this draft, and he's a cannot miss prospect. There's virtually no bust potential, in my opinion, with Chase Young in my eyes, okay? This guy is a physically gifted pass rusher, rare combination of size, speed, athletic ability, agility, power. This guy is just a wrecking ball on the defensive line. And the Washington Redskins 100% should not pass on Chase Young. It would be a crime if they do that. There's no way I'm trading out of that pick. I would need a king's ransom. If I was going to trade out of the pick, Chase Young should be a Washington Redskin. He's the guy that they need to take, and I believe they're going to take him because this guy is just too good to pass up on. My grandma can make this pick, all right? And literally a prime example of why this needs to happen is because the 49ers showed you literally this past draft that picking the best available player at number 2 overall is 100% the route you need to go. Let's not forget, the 49ers did not necessarily need Nick Bosa. They had already drafted a ton of very good young players on that defensive line. Some in the first round. They drafted Solomon Thomas in the first round. They drafted DeForest Buckner in the first round. They had invested, several draft picks in the first round on their defensive line. But they had not completed that puzzle quite yet. They needed that one extra piece to put them over the top. And that piece last year was Nick Bosa, a guy as a rookie that had Defensive Player of the Year votes. Chase Young can be that guy for the Redskins. This guy had 5 sacks in a game versus Wisconsin, last year. Wisconsin always has elite offensive lines. They have NFL players all over that offensive line. They virtually could not block Chase Young. Chase Young literally took over games for the Ohio State defense last year. You're in a division with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is one of the 7 best quarterbacks in all of football. Dak Prescott has won 40 games the past 4 seasons. At least Dak Prescott has won games. I don't think Dak Prescott's the most talented quarterback in the world, but he wins games. Dallas's offense is hard to stop, and Daniel Jones showed a lot of promise as a rookie quarterback. He was second to Baker Mayfield in touchdown passes for a rookie. So that division alone has some very good quarterback play. You need to have a stud pass rush and a stud defensive line to really get after those guys. And this narrative that Chase Young did not impact Ohio State's defense the final 3 games that he played in last year, in which he did not record a sack, is just total fool's gold. It's false. Chase Young impacted that Ohio State defense every single play. You want to know why? Because if you try to block him one-on-one, you're toast. Opposing college offenses last year realized that Chase Young is so good that we need to constantly double team this guy. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to put a picture on the screen of 3 offensive linemen for Wisconsin triple teaming Chase Young. I mean, Clemson in the Fiesta Bowl designed their entire offense around making sure Chase Young does not wreck our opposing offense. He was that impactful. Adding Chase Young would give the Redskins 4 first-round picks on their defensive line. And that's a scary sight for opposing offenses. He's the most surefire player in this year's draft. You take the best player available when you're picking number 2 overall. You don't try to fill needs. You look to get the best player that can make the biggest impact for your team for the next decade. And Chase Young can be the next great stud pass rusher in the NFL for the next 2 decades, guys. This guy is an absolute stud. And as I said earlier, 80% of the guys in the draft end up not living up to expectations. Are you really sure that a defensive back or a linebacker, aka Jeffrey Okudah or Isaiah Simmons, is going to make a bigger impact than Chase Young will for your team next year? I don't think so. I like Jeffrey Okudah a lot. I like Isaiah Simmons a lot, but they're not Chase Young. A pass rusher can directly impact the team much more than a defensive back or a linebacker. A linebacker is only so close to the football. Defensive linemen, you have to block them every single play. You can, motion away from a linebacker. You can run away from linebackers, okay? You can throw away from the opposing team's best quarterback. I've seen teams avoid Richard Sherman all the time. I've seen teams avoid Jalen Ramsey all the time. I've seen them avoid Stephon Gilmore all the time. Cornerbacks and linebackers simply do not impact the game as much as pass rushers. I do believe the Redskins have their franchise quarterback for the future in Dwayne Haskins. He's not a terrible quarterback. He showed a lot of promise at the end of the year. I'm not moving off Dwayne Haskins. I'm not drafting Tua Tagovailoa, who has a lot of injury concerns. And like I said in my mock draft video, if Dwayne Haskins flames out this year, go and draft Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields next year. But don't pass on Chase Young this year. Get Chase Young this year, and if Dwayne Haskins plays badly this upcoming season, you can draft another quarterback next year, but you do not pass on the best pass rusher since Khalil Mack to come out of the draft. You just don't do it, okay? And I do think Dwayne Haskins is going to be a great franchise quarterback. This guy has the arm talent, the accuracy, the mental makeup, the swagger, and the football IQ, in my opinion, to make the Redskins a legit contender. I still believe in Dwayne Haskins. Like I said, I've done a whole film analysis on Dwayne Haskins. Be sure to check that video out right now if you haven't checked it out already. I've already made a video talking about why I would not draft Tua Tagovailoa. Be sure to check that video out as well, on my YouTube channel. Dwayne Haskins is not a terrible quarterback. He has a very strong arm. He has a lot of talent. He's very close to being a very successful quarterback at the next level. He has the potential to turn this team around at the quarterback position. You build around Dwayne Haskins. You support him with better players. The guy had virtually no chance to succeed last year. I do believe Ron Rivera can get the best out of Dwayne Haskins. So I think that I got my franchise quarterback, and I think that Chase Young can be the franchise-changing player that my defense desperately needs. I believe Chase Young is just too good to pass up on. And let me quickly shift to Lawrence Taylor. You know, there probably will never be another Lawrence Taylor. He's the best defensive player of all time, and you can make the argument he's the best NFL football player of all time. But if you put a gun to my head and asked me what player in today's NFL or what player coming out of college the next couple years is going to be the next Lawrence Taylor, I got to say it right now. I think Chase Young is the closest thing to potentially maybe being the next Lawrence Taylor at the next level. That guy has that much potential. He's that good. Trust me. And there's no way I am passing on Chase Young. Be sure to comment where you agree with me and disagree with me. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I currently am a freshman there right now. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.